Stage 3, the final stage of cytokinesis. This is part 4. Okay? The final stage of the cell cycle is called cytokinesis. This stage completes the process of cell division. During cytokinesis, the cell's cytoplasm divides, distributing the organelles into each of the 2 new daughter cells. Cytokinesis usually starts and overlaps with telophase. Okay, so they're different things, but they're starting to overlap a little bit. When cytokinesis is complete, each daughter cell has the same number of chromosomes, same amount of DNA, as the parent cell. Next, each cell enters interphase again and is ready to start the cell cycle all over again. Okay? During cytokinesis, what part of the cell divides and distributes the 2 organelles into 2 daughter cells? Cytoplasm, mitochondria, the nucleus, or vacuoles? It's the cytoplasm. That's what's dividing up all of the organelles. And you can see that happening here where the cell is dividing into 2. We get all the organelles duplicating across the 2 cells. We get the cytoplasm separating into 2, and we get 2 cells as a final product, 2 daughter cells. Okay? And in our cell cycle, we can see us moving from telophase, where we're elongated cells, and then we pinch them off into making 2 distinct daughter cells in cytokinesis. In animal cells, cytokinesis, during cytokinesis, the animal cells, the cell membrane squeezes together around the middle of the cell. The cytoplasm pinches into 2 cells. Each daughter cell gets approximately half of the organelles in the parent cell. In animal cells, the cell membrane pinches in the middle to divide the cell into 2 similar daughter cells. Is that true or false? Well, from what we read, it is a very true statement. Okay? In plant cells, cytokinesis is somewhat different in plant cells. Those plant cells, they got that rigid cell wall. It can't squeeze. It's rigid. It's like that desk. It's firm. It won't move. Okay? In the same way, the cell membrane can. It's not flexible like a cell membrane. Instead, the cell structure forms what we call a cell plate across the middle of the 2 new cells. What would be the 2 new cells? As shown in figure 5. Okay? The cell plate begins to form a new cell. As the cell plate begins to form, a new cell membrane begins to divide the cell up. The new cell wall is then formed around the cell membranes. Okay? So, you can see that happening here. We've got a cell going through the cell cycle. It separates out. Towards the end here, we start to build that cell plate. Here it comes. Here's our cell plate. It's growing across here. We then build 2 cell membranes, and the cell splits into 2. You can see that a little bit step by step here. We have the 2 cells. We're at the end of the cell cycle. We're in telophase here, right? We start to grow that cell plate. It separates these 2 cell halves into 2, and then the cell wall can then grow after the new cell membranes are formed. So, in plant cells, the baby cell wall is called a cell blank. It's formed that separates the 2 daughter cells. What do we call that? We call that a cell membrane, a cell mitochondria, a cell plate, or a cell nucleus. It is a cell plate. I want you to take a look at this image. This is image number 5. So this looks like an onion cell to me, right? I want you to find in the cell where the cell is dividing and place a circle around at the cell plate. Okay. If you've done that, it should look something like this. So we can see that cell plate here. We can see the 2 daughter cells. There's one here and one here. We can see that cell cycle going on here.